Assalamualaikum and good morning. My name is Liyana. I'm from SEGi University, Malaysia, and I'm here today to present on my research paper with the title of the Structural Equation Modeling Analysis in Determining the Mediation Effect of Collapse Avoidance Perspective on the Intention in Forensic Accounting. And this study is conducted in Malaysia. First of all, forensic accounting is an investigation carried out by the forensic accountant, which with the main aim to obtain the evidence to prove the fraud claim or any claim that associated with the forensic accounting aspect. And they have to ensure that the evidence is admissible to be used in the court. And surprisingly, the demand for the forensic accounting in mitigating fraud is keep increasing, and of course along with the increased level of the fraud in Malaysia. However, despite the increasing demand of the forensic accounting, the main issue arises when the development level for forensic accounting is still in the beginning stage, especially in Malaysia, where forensic accounting still did not develop well in Malaysia. And on top of that, forensic accounting was found as the least method used by a majority of Malaysian companies to mitigate the fraud level. It is questionable when companies still almost fully rely on the auditing and only to strengthen their internal control system. And some researchers found that companies were reluctant to use forensic accounting due to privacy issues, and they want to avoid any collapse or any winding up for their companies by the forensic accountant, which the forensic accountant never able to determine the collapse of the companies by themselves unless instructed by the court itself. And on top of that, there was almost none of published research in forensic accounting incorporating the variables from two theories, which the protection motivation theory and the forensic accounting theory. And also, there are two elements combined for this study. The first element was the fraud threat appraisal, which extracted from the protection motivation theory. And the last one is the collapse avoidance from the forensic accounting theory in order to determine the behavioral intention to use forensic accounting in Malaysia. The next one, there are 5 research questions for this study, and the first two are to study the effect of the independent variables, which the severity of fraud and the vulnerability of fraud, on the dependent variables, which is the behavioral intention. The next two research questions are on to study the mediating effect of the collapse avoidance, which is the mediator, on the effect between the independent and the dependent variables. And the last research question will be the studying the effect of the mediator, collapse avoidance, on the dependent variable, which is the behavioral intention. This is the framework for the first theory, which is the protection motivation theory, which comprises of threat and copying appraisal. So this theory will be maximized when these two variables will be in a high level. And the copying appraisal, for this one, research efficacy when the individual believes that the response is effective to reduce the threat. For the self-efficacy, the individual or the companies feel confident to perform the response or the recommended response. And the last one, response cost. The cost should be affordable for the individual or the companies. The next one is the second theory, which is the forensic accounting theory. This theory was developed by Ozley in this current year, 2020. This is a very new theory on the forensic accounting perspective, and this theory was developed based on 5 hypotheses, and the hypotheses were separated on the accounting decision and the non-accounting decision. Next is the conceptual framework for this study, which is the model for this study. We have 3 types of variables. The independent variables, the severity and the vulnerability of fraud were taken from the protection motivation theory. The mediated variable extracted from the forensic accounting theory, and the dependent will be the behavior intention to use the forensic accounting. The next is the methodology for this study, which this is a quantitative research paper and collected data from primary resources, which is the questionnaire method. And in order to study the effect between the constructs, this was a causal comparative research design. Then the population for this study was the listed firms and only focus on one industry, which is the industry product and services, which this industry was found as having among the highest level of fraud in Malaysia. Then the minimum sample size was calculated by using the G-Power software, and the sample size, the minimum sample size was 190 of respondents. Okay, next is the data analysis or the result. So the data analysis was used the technique of structural equation modeling by using the IBM SPSSMs. So for the descriptive statistic, in total, 123 of respondents participated for this study, and majority of them were the CEO, followed by the auditor and the board of directors. And the industry were attracted to 2 industries, which is the industrial products and industrial services. So for the in order to prove that this data is reliable, the validity is based on the AVE and the reliability is based on the CR or the composite reliability. So the value of AVE should be higher than 0.5, and as you can see here, all the items for each of the contracts combined together, all are having the value higher than 0.5. And for the CR, also, the value should be higher than 0.6, and the result shows that all constructs have the CR higher than 0.6. So this the data of this study has achieved the minimum requirement for the AVE and the CR. Next, to answer the first 2 research questions, which is the direct effect between the independent and dependent variables. So, as a result, both independent variables have a significant effect on the behavior intention at the level of 0.01 significant level. And after the mediator entered the model, these 2 independent variables have a significant effect on the mediator, which is the collapse avoidance. Both are having a significant level at the 0.05 level. And also the mediator has a significant level, has a significant effect on the dependent variable with a 0.01 significant level. And also, as you can see here, the direct effect of the independent variable, both of them, the effect on the behavior intention were no longer significant after the mediator entered the model. So it is so the mediator has a full mediation or completely mediated the effect between the independent and independent variables. Okay, this is the graphic MS for the pool regression path, and for each of the independent, both independent and the mediated construct, they were measured by using 3 items for each construct, and for the dependent was measured by using 4 items. And as a result, the combination of the 2 independent variables and 1 mediated variables have able to explain 22% of the behavior intention to use the forensic accounting. And next, for the fitness index, the RMSEA should be lower than 0.08, and this study has achieved the minimum requirement. The CFI should be higher than 0.9, also achieved the minimum requirement. And the last one should be lower than 3.00, also achieved the minimum requirement. So, in conclusion, the data of this study has achieved the fitness indexes in order to be analyzed by using the SEM analysis. For the summary, there are 5 hypotheses, like the research question, 5 research questions also, and as a result, all effects have a significant effect on the p-value. Thus, the result on the hypothesis were all supported. For the last part, the conclusion part, the model for the paper has integrated 2 elements, which is the fraud threat appraisal and also the collapse avoidance assurance from both theories. And for the finding, the collapse avoidance, which is the mediator, able to mediate significantly and to strengthen the effect and the intention of individual to use the behavior intention. And so it is confirmed that the intention of individuals or companies could be strengthened if the forensic accountant able to explain clearly on the purpose on the forensic investigation and able to assure the client that there will be no any winding up of the companies that can be done solely by the forensic accountant unless instructed by the court itself. And lastly, this study is expected to address the issue of unwillingness of companies to use the forensic accounting as a fraud mitigation tool in Malaysia. And that's all for my presentation for today. Thank you for your attention and listening to my presentation.